Hello and welcome to my channel. So I love blending philosophy with divination, so today I've prepared a very special reading inspired by the first philosopher that we know of, that we consider the first philosopher, that is Thales of Miletus. So he was the first philosopher in the Greek tradition. Thales taught that all is water, that everything flows back to its source, like rivers into the sea. And he was famous for two things. He predicted a solar eclipse, showing that the universe follows hidden patterns, and he used his wisdom to foresee a rich olive harvest. So he proved that philosophy can also guide practical life. So in this reading, we'll follow this vision. We're coming from the roots, going through the storms and eclipses, toward the olive tree of wisdom, to the final unity of all things, to the sea. You have two groups to choose from. You can keep this reading general, just to receive a wide perspective on your path in this moment, or you can focus on a specific issue in your life, and whatever you choose, this spread will give you an in-depth exploration of the situation, showing you where it begins, then what the guiding principle is, what the challenges are, the gifts are, and then the deeper unity that holds it all together. So take a moment and just intuitively choose the group that calls you. Trust your intuition, and I will see you in your reading. So hello to everyone who felt called to the group 1. So this is your stream, this is your river. So again, this is a general or a specific reading, whatever you decide. And let's begin with the first position, your roots. The question is, what are my beginnings, my roots, and the source I draw from? And we see the Six of Cups, which is a card of innocence and returning to the origins, and then we have the Mystic. This is talking about the union with the divine. It can also mean some kind of delusional rapport with the divine, but mostly it shows connection with the higher realms. Perhaps you are a person who is very spiritually oriented, or maybe you're dealing with a person who is this way. And then we have the card that kind of reinforces this position, the spirituality and religion card. This is from the past life oracle. So this can talk about some inherited tradition that you were raised in. Perhaps there is a religious upbringing that plays a role in your situation. So your path begins with, it may be even in childhood memories. The Six of Cups can be related to that as well, since it shows children. Also, there is a kind of innocent energy, maybe a very deep first love, or a very deep connection that you felt with someone that felt like it was that was coming from many lives, or it was like an immediate recognition of the other person. And so the whole root position is colored with a very sweet, innocent, even spiritual vibes, and also to your cultural and ancestral upbringing and practices. So maybe the root position is saying that you are living too much in some kind of in the past, or some kind of nostalgia, and that you need to perhaps see beyond the tradition and beyond the nostalgic feelings. And then we have the second question, the second position. What principle or vision is guiding me forward? So here we have the star card, which is the card of hope and inspiration. And of course, it shows the light leading you towards a distant vision, something that may happen also in the future. It's like the guiding star. So it shows that you have a very clear perception already. You have a very, let's say, wide vision of things, so you can trust it. And then of course we have the gossip card. This is about kind of saying that perhaps your vision may be distorted by misuse of words, by betrayal, or perhaps you don't trust your vision, or you listen to too many people, or there are people interfering with your situation. You want to keep the situation, whatever it is. It may be a relationship, it may be a kind of a project that you want to make. You want to keep it very pure. You have a very clear vision. You are entering into the situation very innocently, but there are people around, perhaps saying different things, gossiping literally, or just interfering with your situation. And then we have the karmic relationship card. Of course, this again shows a very deep fated relationship, and in such relationships, trust and betrayal and learning like the basics of life can be a very, very big lesson. So since we have the relationship card, it may suggest that this reading is about a relationship, but it's not necessarily so. So what is guiding you forward is your inner star, which may feel threatened easily by other people or other people's minds, commentaries, and words. So Thales, the philosopher, he predicted a solar eclipse and he trusted the stars. He revealed the cosmic order behind seeming chaos. So in the same way, your path is illuminated by cosmic truth, and don't allow the human voices to distort it. So trust the higher order above gossip and distortion. And then we have the third position, which is what challenge or disruption do I face? The storm that tests my foundation. So your storm is about vulnerability and belonging. We have the Page of Cups, showing again a very tender heart, very creative card. So you want to explore the options, you want to explore your feelings, and you may be very, very naive. And because we have the Orphan card that shows the wound of abandonment or disconnection. So this is the feeling that then can stir the feeling of a rebel, some kind of a defiance of injustice or unjust systems, but it can be a very destructive reaction to pain or anger. So the challenge is to hold on to vulnerability, since it is a gift, not a weakness, and don't fall into the trap of being too aggressive or reacting with too much of disdain or of defiance because you feel wounded or hurt. So Thales, the philosopher, there is this story about him that he was so absorbed in gazing at the stars that he fell into a well. So this is like a symbol of course, that philosophers are useless and unpractical and just gazing at the stars. So this is a kind of we don't know whether the story is true, but let's say it's true. So he was so absorbed into watching the cosmic order, he forgot to take care of the practical things, even though we know that he predicted an olive harvest. So philosophy can be useful, but in this context, he is the symbol of pursuit of vision. And so your openness and vulnerability makes you tender, but when you encounter the storms and hardships, this teaches you also to be authentic and resilient. And then we have the fourth position. What is the gift or fruit that can grow from my efforts? So we have the Ace of Wands, which is, of course, the fire of beginnings. It is the spark of a new inspiration. It may be a new like a magical opening happening in your life, because aces belong to the highest realm. They're like gifts from the divine. And then we have the warrior card. It's all about discipline and courage and focus. So you perhaps in this situation, you are going to develop your stronger side, your warrior side, to be rooted in your life force, in your energy, as also the health card shows. So this may show that whatever you're going through can affect your health also physically, mentally and physically. So perhaps you are dealing with a health issue. Maybe there is something that you need to heal on the physical level. Or maybe you're dealing with some emotional or mental situation that is driving you to develop the warrior-like qualities. So if you look at the image of the warrior, he is like holding this kind of a spear, or what is it, like a log, and he's a hero. So you are conquering something in this situation. This is the fruit. This is what you are getting from this. You are getting something new, something positive, as the Ace of Wands shows. Maybe a restored health, maybe a new beginning in your life, maybe a proposition, a business proposition, or a renewed spark in a relationship. And it will make you stronger and healthier. So this is the fruit of your efforts. You are becoming stronger and more warrior-like without being too defiant or too rough or tough. And then we have the fifth position. What disruption or eclipse must I face? The storm that tests my fruits and my commitment. So your eclipse is community pressure. We have the Three of Cups, which shows joy and sharing of emotions. We have three women dancing, which shows the community of equal connections. So it's all the threes can be about groups and connecting with other people in a group setting, but it's not necessarily so, because it may be, but on the other hand, the number 3 is about growth and expanding, like the number 2 that becomes the number 3 by adding one more element. So with the number 3 we get the volume, because with 1 and 2 we only get the width, we only have a line with 1 and 2. When we add number 3 we get the volume, we get the fullness. So what is your eclipse? So it may be that your friendships, your connections, your emotions are eclipsed. This is what is being hidden, or this is what is being taken away from you in this moment. So maybe because you need to develop your warrior qualities, or perhaps because you have to struggle so much, your relationships are at risk. All your relationships, not just romantic relationships. And then we have the Advocate card. So it says, put your compassion into action. So the warrior has to be balanced with the Advocate card. Maybe you need to advocate for yourself, but not with fight or struggle. Otherwise, your relationships may become eclipsed. And you may lose a very deep and important connections. Maybe you will lose the joy of connecting because you are fighting too strongly, or maybe you have to struggle too strongly. So the reading is saying, relax. You don't have to fight or strive so much. And then we have the Native American card. This is from the Past Life Oracle. So, well, it may be that you feel connected to Native Americans, perhaps, but it's not really important. It's about the moments where you're connected to community, and perhaps you are too too much attached to what other people will say, what the community will say, how other people will see you or judge you. So your eclipse is, do I belong to the community or do I feel expelled by the community? Can I cherish my connections or am I about to lose my connections? Because I have to be on my own independent path. So then we have the question, the next position, what is the greatest challenge that shakes my foundation to the core? So the greatest challenge is the challenge of letting go. So we have the Four of Pentacles card, which is clutching very tightly to security or relationships that you are clinging to out of fear of losing security or of losing material security. And then we have the Destroyer. That is like a tower moment. So it's a necessity of clearing something. So it's about releasing what is destructive. And with the unrequited love, of course, this shows that the wound at the core is a pain of holding on to something that is not returning your love or energy. So the greatest challenge here is to be able to let go, even with pain, to face all these feelings of vulnerability, of feeling like an orphan, of feeling left alone, left in the cold, and just go through this destruction. So develop your warrior qualities, be your own hero, and don't succumb to the pressure of the community of what you are supposed to be or what other people expect you to be. So this is a very difficult situation, in fact. So for those who chose group 1, you may be facing a very painful situation that is really like touching your deepest wounds. And it may be extremely painful for you to deal with what you're dealing with. It may even affect your health, your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. So you are heroes. You are the ones who are, carving your own path. This is the moment to be resilient. This is why. So the lesson is to learn to be your own advocate, to learn resilience, even if it means for a while letting go of security and be extremely vulnerable. So you are learning not to be naive, not to be too childlike, but to grow a thick skin in some way, perhaps, but also not to alienate all the people. So it's a kind of a balance that you need to learn. But the point is that if you cling to something or someone because of the material security or whatever security, just emotional security, it is time for you to assume the hero, assume the warrior-like position, and let go, even though it will be extremely painful and you may just collapse, but you will survive. This is just a test from life, to storm your storms, to go through them, to weather them. And then we have the final position. So the question is, what is the final integration of my path? What is the unity of all things? And we have a beautiful message. We have the Lovers. So inner and outer, human and divine, freedom and law are all coming together into an integrated wholeness. And of course, this also means that you are preserving your love, your relationship, your connection. So whatever the case, whatever the storm, whatever the eclipse, your connection will remain. Of course, first, your connection with yourself has to become more healthy, because all dysfunctions and all issues in relationships or situations in general that we encounter reflect the relationship that we have with ourselves. So this shows that you are healing, that you are coming closer to yourself, and in this way your relationship or your situation will heal as well. The Lovers may not necessarily be about a relationship, it may also be about business things, contracts, connecting with others. So whatever the case, the unity is there and you're not going to lose anything or anyone. And in fact, you are coming back to the innocence and harmony with life. We have this beautiful child connecting with the bunny, so this reflects a natural communion with the world. So you are shedding off your hard, harsh armor. So from the warrior, you're going back to the child. So you're like coming full circle. You started with the innocence, with high ideals. You met all the storms and the eclipses that pushed you into being more resilient, more in touch with your own power, more heroic, more advocating for yourself. And now in the end, you will be able to relax into childlike nature, into just enjoying what is natural and true for you. And of course, then we have the authority figures from the past life oracle, which can literally mean that you had issues with authority in your previous lives. It may be, it's not very uncommon, it's actually quite common. So you may reflect these fears onto other people, onto your superiors, your bosses, even your partner. And this is what the struggle is. Maybe you're fighting with the law, maybe you're fighting with the system. And then maybe you're reflecting this on your partnership, on your children, on your spouse, whatever. Of course, your parents, they're a perfect screen for projecting issues with authorities. So in any case, this is something that is healing within you. You are preserving your union. It's not falling apart. You are becoming more relaxed, and you are stepping into your own power, into your own authority. So in the end, the water is healing everything and is helping you stay whole and complete. And so the journey that you went through was a difficult one. It may still be, but it is leading you to something very special, something very healing, and something very creative. So don't worry. Whatever destruction you're facing now, you will come out whole and sane and healthy. So I hope the reading resonated, and see you in the next one. Bye bye. And hello to those who chose group 2. And as I said, you can choose to receive this as a general message, or you may focus on a particular question or situation. Either way, this is a spread that will be revealing both challenges and gifts. And let's begin with the first position, your roots. So the question is, what are my beginnings, my roots, the source I draw from? We could see this as a beginning or the roots of your situation. And we see the tower, which is a collapse or destruction of false structures, and sudden awakening. Also, it's like a destruction of an illusion. And then we have the saboteur card. This is it can be someone who is focused on self-empowerment, and we can see this image of a person riding in a balloon and then trying to destroy the balloon. So the balloon can represent high ideals and ideas that we have about ourselves or the situation, and we can absolutely destroy these ideas by actions or thoughts or beliefs that are destructive to us. So this can mean, the saboteur can mean that there is some kind of fear of self-empowerment. And you may want to remain in a position of weakness or even of victim or a person who cannot act, because in many cases it's easier to remain stuck in a situation, because if we take the power into our own hands, if we make some changes, of course the future remains even more uncertain and we can fear change. And then we have the Egypt card. This is from the past life oracle, which can mean, of course, that you have had past lives in Egypt, even though let's not be too explicit. This is really a personal matter. We never know just from the cards. But, well, if we take Egypt as a symbolic reading, as a symbol, well, we see the pyramids, and they represent wisdom and permanence. So we have the tower, something is collapsing, and then we have the pyramids, which endure for centuries and millennia. So no matter how much is destroyed, there is something that remains, a very, very strong foundation. And since we have the past life card, this can mean that you have been going through this situation for many lives. You're repeating a kind of pattern for many lives, or now you are ready to pop this balloon and let old ideas and conceptions die. So a new philosophy is emerging. And also it means that you inherited a lot of wisdom. So use the old wisdom, but let the new wisdom come as well. And then we have the second position, the guiding principle. And the question we ask here is, what principle or vision is guiding me forward? And we see the card Seven of Cups, the Dilettante card, and Biblical. Well, Seven of Cups is all about visions and choices, and also about illusions. So again, we have a certain illusion, a world of illusions, or certain ideas that may be collapsing, or it's time to let them go. And again, a Dilettante card, like maybe echoing the Saboteur card. So it's someone who delights in arts but doesn't master them, or there is a kind of superficiality indicated here instead of depth. And then we have the Biblical card from the past life oracle. This is again about some kind of spiritual tradition and moral framework. Biblical tradition is, of course, this is a book of spiritual and moral guidance, whether we believe that it is divinely inspired or divinely created or not. So it seems that now there are so many possibilities and dreams in your life, be it in your situation or in your relationship or in your new path that you're taking, but something is also being destroyed. And so you can enjoy life even though you're not mastering something. So this is the guidance. So we have the Dilettante card. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to master something in order to enjoy it. So this may be reflected in yourself, your attitude, or maybe you are encountering people who are dilettante, who are not mastering something but still pretending to be masters of it. That can be really annoying when we encounter that in life. Or maybe you're dealing with someone very close to you who is pretending to be wise and intelligent, but in fact they lack experience or even knowledge. So, and with the biblical reference here, it may be that you came from some deep knowledge and you have this moral compass in you that is guiding you. But so who is now the dilettante? Is it you or is it the other person? This is something perhaps that you need to uncover in this situation. As for our Thales, the philosopher who inspired this reading, he gazed at the stars. And if we look at the stars, they seem very confusing. We need to take time and we need to learn to find patterns and constellations or recognize individual stars. It takes knowledge and it takes patience and time. So perhaps now your guidance is to discern truth from illusion. So imagining what you're imagining and what is truly grounded in reality. So you are dealing with a situation or with a person where truth and what you want to see may be intermingled. That is often the case in our lives. That's true. And then we have the third position, the storm. What is the challenge? So what is the challenge or disruption that you face? What am I facing now? So the storm that tests my foundation. And we have 7 of Wands, a typical defense courage card, so courage to stand against the opposition. Again, another 7. Then we have the Prince, a charmer, a very nice potential for leadership, but only a potential. He's not yet a king, so he is growing into a king, and he can be extremely charming also, and of course very seductive. So it may be that you are dealing with a prince. Maybe there is a prince in your life. This is the challenge that you're facing now. This is your storm. Maybe somebody came and offered something. Maybe there is a love interest or a person that you are involved with, or maybe the situation itself seems like it's offering something, it's very charming, but you are not yet sure whether it truly can survive the test of time. And then we have the medicine man or woman in the past life oracle. And this medicine man and woman is a test for you, whether you are going to react to these opportunities or the charmers with your healing ability or with some kind of defense action. So in the 7 of Wands, we see a person holding and standing their own ground, perhaps being on the defensive. And with the medicine man or woman, we see like these 3 feathers being pulled by the hands on a dream catcher. So the hand is shaking the dream catcher, and this reminds us a little bit of that balloon from the first position. So you are being pulled, drawn into a certain direction, be it by a person or by this situation, and you may have a very maybe even angry response to this, or maybe very defensive response, as we see in the 7 of Wands. But on the other hand, you're being challenged to heal something in this situation. As a medicine man or woman, being from the past life oracle, it may mean that you have been a healer through many lives, or maybe already even now you're still carrying this echo, and you are somebody who can heal situations or people, even though you're perhaps not directly involved in healing. But there is a component of trying to make things better with people or situations, and this can lead you into not being able to clearly see when there is a potential to heal it and when there is this total destruction, and it's best to let it be. So if you have these healing capacities, you are quite likely to attract people in your life that will provoke you in this way. So who is the Prince Charming? Is it a person? Is it a situation? Is it some dilettante you're dealing with? And you may be really angry or upset by this person or situation. So the challenge is to see the healing potential, and also to be able to see if you're being pulled in certain direction because you have these healing capacities. Sometimes energies connect in that way that we just respond with the healing ability, and then we just exhaust ourselves. So this is perhaps something to pay attention to in this situation. And then we have the 4th position, the fruit. the gift. So the question is, what is the gift or fruit that can grow from my efforts? So we have 10 of Pentacles, which is all about legacy and inheritance, and also community wealth. And then we have the Priest, which is about commitment as well, and it's about guiding others. And it may represent a spiritual teacher, a spiritual guide, or perhaps, especially with the 10 of Pentacles, in fact, adherence to a certain religious community. And then we have the Baby card, which is, of course, about new beginnings, about something new. So it seems that your gift is a kind of spiritual service and belonging to a community which holds high ideals, religious and moral ideals. So it seems that from that saboteur and dilettante energies, you are moving into a very high energy of intelligent, moral energy, and you will be able to clear this confusion. So you, from this situation, you are receiving a gift of people who are like-minded, who can help you grow, and maybe you can help grow. So there is a certain religious or spiritual factor here that will serve you and help you on this way. So you may be someone who is a channel of sacred energy. Maybe you guide others. And also there is a warning of pride in this card. So don't be somebody who constantly judges others. Don't take this higher ground to be on top, to be above others, because you have higher moral principles. You know, because if it's the law of life works in this way, the higher principles you have, the lower principles you will meet in other people, in order to become more clear about yourself, and also to learn some kind of compassion and let go of hubris, which is one of the mortal sins, the pride sin. And then we have the Baby. This is about new beginnings. So maybe it is you being reborn. You are starting fresh in this situation. You are becoming someone who looks at things and people with more innocent, non-judgmental eyes. And of course, the Baby card can simply show that you are starting something fresh, a project, perhaps a new relationship, perhaps even literally a new child. Whatever brings innocence and the possibility to nurture yourself and others into your life. It can also reflect a karmic connection with children from past lives. Perhaps there are some lessons regarding parenting, protecting children. Maybe you were a child who needed nurturing and didn't receive it. Perhaps you are someone who needs to learn how to nurture and take care of someone or something. And this is also about your giving your inner child, giving birth to something new. And with the Priest card and the 10 of Pentacles card, you are being reborn into a community that will support your intellectual and spiritual views. So the gift is you are receiving, let's say, a community of high quality. You will be meeting people of high quality, people who will be able to guide you, help you, and support you. So you, as this freshly born child, is now being protected spiritually and emotionally. Maybe this was the lesson that you were learning. Maybe that's why you were meeting the saboteurs and dilettantes, so they were revealing your inner wound that you were never truly protected or cared for. And now that you learned this, the gift that you are receiving is that you will be protected and cared for by people who will value you. So our philosopher Thales He was remembered for planting olive trees, and he predicted an olive harvest, proving that philosophy can be useful in practical life. So something wise, so a wisdom turned into a tangible fruit. So this is your gift. You are creating a tangible fruit from your legacy, from your experiences. And then we have the fifth position, which is the eclipse or disruption. So the question is, what disruption or eclipse must I face? The storm that tests my fruits. And we have two queens here. Queen of Wands, which is all about charisma and leadership. She's very magnetic, she's very charismatic. And then we have the queen as an archetype. And she can be somebody who protects, who leads, or somebody who is very controlling. And then we have the vows card from the past life oracle, which is all about commitments and also sacred contracts. So your eclipse, your storm, is about leadership under the weight of commitments. So the Queen of Wands shows that you naturally radiate charisma and leadership. You may be literally a very beautiful woman, or maybe you are dealing with a very beautiful woman if you are a man or a woman interested in women. And whatever the case, the female archetype of charisma and leadership shows that you attract both admiration and resistance. Charismatic people also encounter a lot of resistance. This may be also reflected in other women that you encounter in your life. Maybe you feel they resist you, maybe there is a streak of jealousy, or maybe you feel threatened by them. Because this queen is all about having her own power and being in the position of leadership. This is your eclipse. An eclipse means something is hidden. In eclipse, the solar eclipse in this case, because Thales predicted solar eclipse, the sun is eclipsed. So the clarity and rational judgment is eclipsed by, in this case, in this reading, the female position of leadership and authority. So this may be reflected in your life as encountering women who are in a kind of position of authority, or they're rivals perhaps, and you feel extremely triggered by them. Because with eclipse, our rationality is gone with the solar eclipse. There is no sun. It's all dark. So, we could say that, you just see dark when you meet strong women or charismatic women or women in position of authority. And you may also question them. Are they truly queens, or are they just pretending, or are they dilettantes? So, but we must remember that each situation is about us. So it is you, the queen. You need to shine as the queen, not with arrogance and pride, but with leadership and charisma. So this is the lesson. This small baby that we had in the previous position is growing into a beautiful queen. And so whether this is you or your partner in your life, so you must balance authority, benevolent authority, with a risk of arrogance. And you must assume this leadership role with firmness and strength. Otherwise, your own power will be reflected upon other women in your life, and you will feel threatened by them. And then the vows card can reveal that expectations, community, oaths, responsibility may weigh very heavily on you. So you may be someone who feels very obligated to fulfill their role. You are binding your power with duty. And so it is usually what happens also with philosophers. Many times their wisdom is drawn into political commitments. And then we have the test of sincerity, authenticity, and not playing dilettantes. So in this situation, you may be someone who encounters power plays. Maybe you encounter specific situations, maybe even political situations, where you clearly and very, very easily see the saboteurs and the dilettantes, and you're very, very, very triggered by them because your inner wisdom is triggered. So your eclipse is to remain in the authority position but not be arrogant, because you have to accept with benevolence that people's minds can be extremely ignorant, extremely disoriented. People can easily fall prey to illusions. This is how our minds are made. This is how we construct all our worlds, and we tell ourselves stories. And political people many times are full of stories which may not be in any way true. So whatever the case, whether this is a truly political situation or it is a business situation or a relationship situation, you are a person with a strong duty and obligation streak, and with the nose to smell insincerity. And you have to become a little more forgiving, otherwise you can turn into a tyrant. So be the queen, but be the benevolent, charismatic person who is naturally magnetic and charismatic, and not arrogant or harsh in your judgments. And then we have the sixth position, the great storm, release. So the question is, what is the greatest challenge that shakes my foundation to the core? And we have the death card and the destroyer card. So a very nice company, they go perfectly together. And then we have the father card. So this may literally involve your father figure, or male people in your life who reflect your father. May it be your boss, your partner, many times, like almost exclusively sometimes it's your partner, your male partner, or somebody who represents a male partner in your life. They reflect our father issues. So this means that the situation is about authority again, protection again, it's about structure. The father is someone who shapes our world, who tells us how to play the game of the world, how to go outside and meet the structures and meet authorities and how to deal with them. And here we have death and destroyer. So it may be that the father literally is dead. Maybe you lost your father very early on, and this shook you to the core and you lost your foundation. And this can bring a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear in life, because the father, a well-functioning father, is our inner strength, is our sense of protection. And if this is gone or not stable in our lives, we constantly feel threatened. So we may defend ourselves by being completely and totally anxious all the time and not being able to handle things, or by becoming too rigid and too much in control. So, the deepest storm for you, the deepest challenge is ending, is the death card. So, to release something that cannot continue. And the destroyer card, which shows the volcano erupting, can mean that there is a lot of pent-up energy, maybe a lot of pent-up anger in you towards, literally it may be, towards your father or somebody who plays the role of your father. So you are like a volcano that needs to erupt. So with those queens that we had before, which are eclipsed, your power is eclipsed, and the storm is provoking you to release the power. So don't release it too aggressively. That is the challenge. Don't destroy things because you're angry. This can be a very hard lesson to learn in life, to be able to release things, to end without destroying them, without destroying the other person, without destroying the relationship, without destroying the possibilities. Even if we let go of something or someone, let it not be in a volcano eruption style. So this is the test, whether you can transform authority from rigidity into wisdom, and thus provoking and nurturing renewal. In this way, your relationships and your opportunities in life can transform into something extremely stable and extremely nurturing. And then we have the 7th position, the last one. This is the sea, unity of all things. So what unites the whole story? So the question is, what is the final integration of my path? So the final integration, how do all pieces fit together? And we have very beautiful cards. In fact, we have Queen of Cups, so it's all about compassion and emotional depth. And we have the Hedonist card, which is a very joyful counterpart in a way to the Saboteur and the Dilettante. So Hedonist enjoys life, celebrates beauty, pleasure, and it can overindulge, but still it is about enjoying the fruits of the life, the fruits of your labor, and simply enjoying in beautiful things in life. And with wars and battles as the past life position or the past life card, it shows that you have been through wars and battles. It may be in this life or in past lives. So now your final unity, your final healing is about embracing compassion, joy, and release the struggle. That doesn't mean that you become wishy-washy. It doesn't mean that you become unstable. In fact, the warrior energy is still with you. So this final position, these 3 cards, Queen of Cups, Hedonist, Wars and Battles, they all play together. And yes, you will encounter wars and battles in your life, and you will be going into challenges with bravery and courage, and you will be someone who will point out the saboteurs and the dilettantes, and you will see through the illusions. But at the same time, you will be able to laugh at it sometimes, to take it with a little bit of humor, take it lightly, and take it with love and compassion. So your origin is in collapse. You started with collapse and you started with wisdom. So you are a soul who went through hardships and gained a lot of wisdom, and you learn how to guide. You learn how to have your vision and to hold on to truth. And you stormed power plays, you stormed legacy, you went through great trials of release. Maybe you lost people, you lost things, you lost important people and situations in your life. And maybe you are amidst trouble. If you are female, maybe you are feeling that your power as a woman is eclipsed and you want to react with anger. You're like a volcano that wants to erupt. But no, in fact, this situation, everything that is happening in your life or in the specific situation you're inquiring about, is leading you towards embracing love and joy, and occasional conflict as well. You will never let go of the war, because sometimes for the truth we need to stand firm and call out the bullshit and the saboteurs and the dilettantes. That's your gift. You have the nose for it, so use it. But at the same time, united with joy and compassion. Don't take things too seriously. Don't be too threatened by people in power, especially women. Remember, they reflect your own queen. And then your wholeness is pouring in. You will be uniting all currents and very much enjoying and having pleasure in your life. So I wish you good luck. I hope this made sense, and see you in the next reading.